Works meeting to order. Phyllis, we have roll call.
Craig Koshaw.
Here.
Phil Carbox absent. Ken Meyer.
Here. Craig, you emailed a copy of the minutes from our February 19th meeting. Have you had a chance to review them? If so,
I did.
I would look for a motion to either amend or approve them. Motion to accept them. I will second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. First thing let's do is let's open some bids. We'll do the resurfacing bids for streets and roads first. Okay, we'll make the advertisement for, is this both of them? Or just the roads? The advertisement for the resurfacing, a matter of record, Craig?
Yes, let's make that a matter of record.
I have a motion. I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Phyllis.
This is bid sheet we're talking about right here.
Looks like we have 3 of them.
I think it's this one. Oh, okay, my part. Yeah.
Mr. Baker will let you do the honors there.
Okay. It was advertised that we opened bids today for the repaving projects within the city of Decatur. The first bid that's open is submitted by EB Paving, Inc. out of Huntington, Indiana. Bid signed, notarized. Okay. There's bids submitted on multiple projects. How many of these do you want to read each one?
Is there a grand total? Is that what we're kind of looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I've got one for each project, but
Grand total 11. What's your name again?
Corey Staley.
Corey Staley. He's here with, for Butler Perman and Seifert on their behalf.
Okay. So the total base bid for all projects, 1 through 18, $713,502.30. 713,502.30.
Okay.
There's also a bid bond submitted.
So everything's in order with that one.
Yep. Okay, next bid is submitted by Wayne Asphalt out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I hope it's a lot less. Let's see what the estimate is.
The bid is signed. Bid bond in the amount of 5% of the bid is submitted. And the non-collusion affidavit is submitted as well. The total bid for projects 1 through 18 is $773.30. 683,773.30.
That was Wayne Asphalt.
Next bid submitted is from Brooks Construction Company out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Bid bond in the amount of 5% of the bid is submitted. Bid is signed.
Non-inclusion affidavit?
Non-inclusion affidavit is with that, yes. Total of all projects, 1 through 18, $650,784. 650784.00.
So Corey, we were a little over our estimate, weren't we?
We were a little bit.
That's not good. Jeremy Gilbert is at road school, and he asked me to suggest that we table these and take them under advisement so he can review them.
I would make a motion that we table these, take these under advisement.
For Jeremy to review.
Yes, for Jeremy.
I'll second
Gilbert
that.
to review.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. That's the bids for the resurfacing. And then the next thing we will do is open bids for water main extensions and replacements. And first, Craig, I need to make the legal ad a matter of record.
Let's make that a matter of record.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, legal matter's been made a matter of record, and looks like we have two bids.
Okay, the next set of bids are on the water main project. The first bid that's open and submitted is from Watson Excavating, Inc. out of Red Key, Indiana.
Okay. There's a bid sheet over there for that one too, Craig.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Is there a total on these or not? Yeah.
Well, it says on the form it has,
Four different
yeah, 4 different things.
Right, I've got those.
A, B, C, and D.
Right, okay. Form 96 is submitted. Signed. Bid bond in the amount of 5% of the bid is submitted. The 4 projects, a bid for Schedule A, which is County Road 600 North Water Main Extension, $284,025, 284,025.00.
Who's this from?
Watson.
Watson.
Excavating out of Red Key.
284.
025.
The total bid for Schedule B, which is County Road 500 North Water Main Extension, $255,300, 255,300.00. The total bid for Schedule C, the High Street Water Main Replacement, $521,900.
521,900.
Yes, 521,900.00. Total bid from Schedule D, which is the Homestead Drive Water Main Replacement, $660,000, $800. 660-800.00. Second bid, submitted and open, is submitted by Fleming Excavating, Inc. of Decatur, Indiana. Bid bound in the amount of 5% of the bid is submitted. Form 96 is properly signed, which includes the non-collusion affidavit. Trying to find where they got the summary.
Kevin, do you have an estimate on what we were expecting these to come in at? Okay.
The first three are under, the fourth one is a little
That's got to be in here somewhere.
Addendum 1?
I'm looking for the,
Bid schedule.
where the four totals are. Okay, total bid for Schedule A, which is County Road 600 North Water Main Extension, $296,728.53. $296,728.53. The bid on Schedule B, which is County Road 500 North Water Main Extension, $262,670.50. $262,670.50. The total bid for Schedule C, the High Street Water Main Replacement, $577,440.78. $577,440.78. Total bid on Schedule D, Homestead Drive Water Main Replacement, $577,658.52. $577,658.52.
Give me just a second, I'll total these and compare them. The grand total from Watson Excavating. Mark, Kevin, have you guys totaled it back there just to make sure I did this right? If my figures were correct, for Watson, the grand total is $1,722,025. Okay. And the total for Fleming, while Fleming was higher on A, B, and C, they were substantially lower on D, and their grand total is $1,714,498.33. $1,714,498.33. So again, no decision's going to be made this evening on anything here. I would like to have a motion.
I would make a motion that we take this under advisement.
Yep.
And table till next council or Board of Works meeting.
Yep. I'll second that motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the bids for the waterworks have been taken under advisement. And we'll take those up again 2 weeks from now. All right, good. Next thing, since we got people here from Midwestern, let's go ahead and, Kevin, if you want to come up, we'll address this and move on so that we can do other things. Today, Craig, Tim, Kevin, that's your name, and Bill and Gene Grody from the Water Department met with two gentlemen from Midwestern Engineering, and they're back there, and Mark, and I forget your name. Alan, that's right. Doggone it. About Bowen's quote to us on the water plant and the service that they've given us up, from the time we asked them to put out the bid, etc. And they met all afternoon. I mean, it was a meeting with these guys initially, then later on Bowen came in and joined the meeting. And Kevin, I'll let you kind of elaborate. I think we made a decision to just go a different direction.
Yeah, back in October, we came to Board of Works and recommended that we choose Bowen. The process with Bowen, I've only been through this experience once with the coasting on the clarifier project, but the process with Bowen has been not up to standard, I guess. It took them about 4 months to get us an actual max price. On coasting on the other project, we were in weeks. We had a price, like 5 or 6 weeks. When Bowen did come back, that price was substantially higher than what we bonded for. So I know Mark from Midwestern and Bowen have sat down for many hours the last week trying to hash through those numbers and get down to a price that is acceptable.
Melissa?
We are, after meeting today, we are still not to an acceptable price. So I would recommend that we move forward and take who was second in our voting.
Which was Kokosing. And we've been real happy with Kokosing's work at the waste treatment plant. There was one hiccup, but it turned out it wasn't their fault.
Not necessarily, no, and it was bad timing when that happened. It was the same week we were picking the contractor for this project. But, yeah, the whole process on my end anyway has been pretty seamless with the coasting on that project.
Carrie, Kokosing been good to work with? Okay. I'm glad you guys met all day today, or all afternoon, Mark and Alan. I support Kevin's decision on this. It's kind of frustrating how long it took them to get us a price, and then when they come in that much over the quote, and to try to get it down to the quote, the things they were cutting out, I still was not happy with that. So I support that decision, and I guess what we would need to do is make it a matter of record, or make a motion that we change the construction company, or is that what we call them?
The provider.
The provider for the services to Kokosing, whereas the Board of Works originally selected Bowen based on the recommendation from the voting in the selection process, just due to not meeting our standards and what we expected from them, that we changed to Kokosing. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Anything else we need to discuss before we do this?
There's no guarantees going to coasting that's going to be any better price, but
Understand.
I don't think we're going to hurt anything by going this route. Besides,
Mark, you want to say anything?
Well, I think the one thing the board needs to understand, there is a difference in scope from what was originally estimated versus then. So, and we're still trying to sort out, you know, are those numbers realistic? But I would expect to see numbers somewhere between pushing half a million to $1 million higher, and the primary driving force behind that,
Higher than what?
than the original estimate.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the primary driving force that's truly a different scope is the fact that we had to add additional softening. So we've got 2 softening processes. And that all relates back to what we're battling over at the treatment plant to try to keep our chlorides down.
Mm-hmm.
When we drilled the new wells out at the east side where the new well field is, the hardness of that water is substantially harder than what we anticipated. The current well field that feeds Monroe Street is somewhere in the 500 milligrams per liter of hardness. East side plant, we jump up to 700 milligrams per liter. As we started looking at doing that with ion exchange softeners, the amount of salt that was going to be wasted back was going to cause a problem at the treatment plant. So we had to add a separate process that uses silica sand versus salt. The silica sand, you change the pH of the raw water coming in, the hardness attracts to the silica sand, settles out, and you remove the hardness without having any salt waste. The downside of that, you know, the obvious question is we'll just use that for the whole softening process. The efficiency of this process is only about 50% efficient. So we knock the hardness from 710, 720 milligrams per liter down to 350, 360. Then we have to follow up and treat it with conventional ion exchange to get it down to the level that we expect for the softness that the people are used to. And we're not overkilling that softness, but we're getting it down into an acceptable level. So by having that dual process, made the building have to be bigger, has additional tanks, additional feed for the sand and all that stuff. So there is a difference in the price. So I would say, well, I guess like Kevin said, we'll see where the dosing is on the price. But we just felt like maybe there was a different set of eyes on this may make a difference.
I agree. And thanks, Alan, and thanks, Mark, for your help today. I know you drove a long way up here and get home late tonight yet. But
That's all.
Is there, have you run into this situation in the past, Mark, where you don't reach an agreement with a primary contractor and then you move on to a secondary
On
one?
the ones I've done, no, I've not had this occur. We've always been able to come to a resolution. But the option's out there to do that. The language, at least we put in the advertisement, indicates that if you're not able to reach, you know, a successful contract with that provider, then you move down to the next selected. So, have I personally done it? No. But I think that language is out there.
Does the language require then some kind of written notification to Bowen?
I think my take is, even as a professional courtesy, it ought to be done. I mean, I've heard of this process where they seek 2 bids at the same time. There's any number of ways that you can reach your final selection. We are kind of still in the selection process of who that selected provider would be, so we're not under contract by any means.
Right.
We've made a formal, hey, we want you to give us a price. We could have formally asked for 2 prices. We didn't opt to do that.
Mhm.
But I would say as a professional courtesy that we ought to probably put something in writing that we would just like to seek a different direction.
We're engaged but not married.
yeah,
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
And along those
may not
same-
even be digging anymore.
Well, sounds like that's going to end.
And along those same lines, I think the second provider wants something in writing, not guaranteeing that they have the job, but just understanding that we are making a conscious switch from one to the other, so that it's not just a check number. And I think they fully understand that if this was to take place, there's no guarantee that they'll be contracted with, and that you don't seek other options down the road. So,
What I would suggest then, as part of your motion, that you authorize negotiations with Kokosing and direct Kevin to submit a letter in writing to Bowen confirming that because of the impasse in reaching an agreement with them, that that the city intends to attempt to negotiate a contract with the second highest score in the process.
I'll add that to my motion, Barb. I think we already voted, but let's just add that to the original motion. Greg, you okay with that?
Yes.
And we'll just re-vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, thank you.
Quick question, and just a discussion, which kind of wanted to touch base. Is this the best path, and you guys get together, is this the best path to take care of this softening solution and get the chloride out of the water?
yeah.
Okay. There's no other new science out there that we need
There is
to...
other science, but it's
More expensive?
far more expensive, far larger amount of waste, reverse osmosis. And the little that I'm familiar with reverse osmosis is it deals with desalination on the West Coast and stuff. I mean, they're starting to do it, but the reason you haven't seen much of it up until now is it's just so pricey.
Expensive?
There is some filler plants, reverse osmosis plants up around Toledo. We talked and we looked at that. The biggest problem is the volume of waste that comes off those fillers. About a third of the water you produce is just wasted away. So, yeah, this is really, I mean, there's another solution, lime softening. Nobody likes or wants lime softening. It's a nightmare to deal with. So, in this instance, unfortunately, for whatever reason, that well fill is just very, very hard. So I don't see any other option to do what we're proposing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Alan. I'm going to get Jeremy on the phone here. Been waiting on me?
Forever and a day.
Forever and a day. Well, you're on a speakerphone, so be nice.
Don's here and Matt Schultz is here also.
Okay. Well, we opened the bids on the streets, and we opened the bids on the water main extensions. That's all been tabled. And we just got done talking with Kevin and the water plant. I think we're going to switch to coasting, it looks like. So now we got a few things to discuss that you all can be involved in. And for the record, Barb, Jeremy, Don Bergdahl, and Matt Schultz are all on this conference call. And they're at the road school in Lafayette, so.
In God's country.
God's country.
I heard that, Tim. Thank goodness you're a left-handed person.
We got a few things to discuss with you, Jeremy. Let's do the quotes for repairs needed for the section of the sanitary sewer that we found. The top portion of the pipe's missing completely. When we cambered it, we saw all this. This is at the intersection of 10th and Jefferson, and you already sought bids, or quotes, I should say. I have 3 quotes. One from Crosby Excavating, total base bid price $29,145. A second one from Burkott, is that how you say it? For $27,981. And one from Fleming Excavating for $25,887. And this is for pricing the material, labor, and equipment to complete the sanitary sewer repair at 10th and Jefferson per the scope of work requested.
Yes, and my recommendation would be to award it to Fleming as the low bidder.
At $25,877. And
Yep.
Craig, do you have questions on this? Are you familiar with it a little bit? Has Jeremy talked to you about it?
He has.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the low bid.
Of Fleming, of $25,877.
Yep.
Tell Don that we got some work for him here, to work with Fleming, so.
Seconded.
I second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. That is that one. Okay. Next, let's talk about the extension of the sanitary sewers, which involves Don, it involves Carrie, it involves Jeremy. There were two places, one on County Road 450 North and one on 600 North. The one on 600 North is Elvis and Dana Garliner. Yeah, the one on 450 North is the Elizabeth Meyer Trust. Both of these residences would like to connect to our sanitary sewer, the city sanitary sewer. The one on 600 North is just to the east of where our proposed water plant will be, and he proposes that he will run a 2-inch forced main to be constructed from his property connecting to the city's system at Lakeshore Drive subdivision, and he would pay for all that, and along with his grinder pump and everything that is required of that. We met as a group here a week ago and discussed this one, and I think that one of our biggest questions is that if we allow this gentleman to do this, and if the county sewer district decides to extend sewers out that way, because this line is within, 300 feet, Don?
Yeah, is the liner at 300 feet of the property?
Right. If this line's within 300 feet of any of the other properties that are out that way, they could be forced to tap into it, which at that time, those properties we would probably require to annex, because they are contiguous to the city. This particular property is not contiguous to the city. But after we had the discussion, I think, Craig, we all agreed that, yes, we should go ahead and offer the extension to this gentleman on 600 North. It's a brand-new residence that's going to be built. Their previous residence had burnt down, and they're rebuilding. Let's take them one at a time. Craig, if we could, you have any comments on this one? Motion?
Well, wait a minute. There's one issue that I want to address. I mean, when we had our meeting, we laid out a number of conditions that would be required in order for them to be authorized to run a 2-inch main. They would pay for the entire extension costs, a grinder pump, their lateral, tap fee, permit fees if it's required, survey expenses, recording and filing fees. And the second issue is the one that I have a question about. The way this is worded, it would require engineered construction plans would need to be submitted and approved by the Board of Works, and would also need to be permitted by item. Now, in the past, we've had projects where that was the case, where that process was followed. But in speaking with Brett Miller, Brett indicated that to do that, you're probably requiring roughly a $10,000 cost to be incurred. If he engineered construction plans that were simply submitted to the city for approval, it would probably cut that cost in half. But the requirement of getting this permitted by item would double the cost in his estimation. there's some question, and Don, I think, and Barry Shear have indicated that they are of the opinion that item does not require their permitting, we just have to notify them. However, I know in the past the city has required it. When Nate Roomschlag was the engineer, Nate felt that it was important for that to be done. So the question is, are we going to require that in these two cases? I would probably recommend that you at least have the engineered construction plans, whether it's permitted by item. If that's not required, that would be a local requirement, and that's your decision.
Carrie, you have an opinion on that back there?
I think it would be good to keep item involved to show transparency.
Carrie said she thinks it'd be good to keep item involved, just to show transparency.
Kurt, what's your feelings on that with an inspection? I know that, but I mean, one property jeopardizing a situation, I don't think that's necessary. I hate to see the additional expense. We're going to inspect the pipe, and what you're saying is it state law that we just request permission or share this information with IDM?
If we, the way I understand it is if we don't ask item to permit the main extension,
Yes.
which is what this is, then we simply have to notify item that we permitted this as part of our system. Is that correct, Don? Is that what your understanding?
Tim, basically what that is it's a notice of intent that has to be filed with IDM.
But it does not require their permit.
So basically what it does is it puts them on notice that you are planning to make this extension. They may or may not ask Carrie for information for capacity purposes, just to make sure that the plant can take the whatever the estimated volume is of the which is going to be a given on this one. Years ago, when Nate always had that engineered, it was engineered to basically take the liability off of Nate and off the city for the design.
Okay. Do we need...
Like on our water main extensions and stuff, years ago, we always had to file the notice of intent. It's like a 15-day or 30-day, I think, notice item that just says, hey, this is what we're planning on doing.
Okay, so there's really two issues here, so I'd like your opinion on this. The first is, do we require that the plans be engineered or designed by an engineer? And then the second is, is that then submitted to actually get an item permit? You just addressed the second issue, that you're saying you don't have to get the permit, you just have to give them notice that you intend to extend it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So the first question, the other question is, do we require that the plans be designed by an engineer?
I think we should, just for the simple fact that you don't know what contractor's going to do the work until that time comes. That way the contractor has a clear scope of, what's going to be needed, what's going to be required to do the job. With this one, initially you're only doing one home, but there's a couple other homes out there.
Right.
There's a good possibility that they could hook onto it, and Betty Meyer could eventually, prorate.
Right.
That other connection done. So
Jeremy,
you don't want.
What I heard you say was, like, when in the past, Nate engineered these things, correct?
No.
No,
he didn't.
No, he had somebody else.
Okay, but he signed off as the city engineer.
No, he never even signed off.
No, he won't do that.
Had off doing all the removing stuff from the liability.
Okay, so if we don't, if we just use Miller, are we exposing ourselves to any liability, or is that all on Miller?
Let me ask you a question.
No,
here.
that
would be
all
Miller.
for the licensed PEs on staff.
Right.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Jeremy. Is it your recommendation that we have the design engineered properly?
Yes.
Okay, and then is it your desire that we just send notice to IDEM?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
got enough information.
okay, your motion, Craig?
The motion would be to have it designed and send notice to IDEM so that they can come and look at it in 15 days.
I'll second the
And,
motion. Go ahead.
and that notice of intent will actually go through Brett Miller's office once it's all done.
Okay.
Yep.
And who inspects the pipe?
Well, we would inspect it.
And you'll be inspecting the pipe?
Kurt? No?
Don Wells.
Don will.
Don will. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the other conditions are that the materials they use would meet city standards. The contractor they use to put in the extension would be a contractor acceptable to the city. The construction, connection of the extension, and connection of the lateral to the extended main would be subject to city inspection and approval. As-built plans would be provided to the city upon completion of construction. Legal descriptions for utility easements over all affected properties would be provided so that we can get easements for ongoing maintenance and repair. Maintenance of the extension would be the responsibility of the homeowner for the first year following completion, after which the extension would be dedicated to the city, at which point the city would then assume responsibility for maintenance and repairs. But maintenance and repair of the homeowner's lateral and grinder pump would remain the homeowner's responsibility. And the last condition would be that once connected, the homeowner would make timely payments for monthly sewage bills. And this is a letter that I prepared that'll be sent out, and then the homeowners would need to date and sign it, and that would then give them authority to proceed. So, I would ask, is that acceptable to you guys?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that's taken care of on County Road 600.
600 and 450.
It would be the same principle for the one on 452, Ken.
Yep.
Yep. So on that one, again, we just changed that language in the letter.
Item 2 is just that, would read now, engineered construction plans would need to be submitted and approved by the BOW.
I have a quick question then. After the year, are these our lines?
Yes.
So when the county wants to go and make an extension, are they going to pay us for those lines, or are they just going to take over those lines because it's in the county? Like they did in the past for...
That's up to us to decide whether we will give them up.
I mean, in the past we had a customer in here, or I think 3 users that were on a county line that were
Right,
our line.
that was out near Monmouth, I
They
think.
came in and said that's going to be our line. We'd have the option to,
We can negotiate with them on that.
but the homeowner's losing all rights to that line after a year. that they
Yeah,
paid for.
they put it in at their cost. They have to make sure that it's functional. Once we're satisfied that it is, then they dedicate it to us and it becomes part, it's just an extension of our existing main.
Okay. Anything else, Tyler?
How long do they recoup costs on that? How long can they recoup costs on that?
10 years.
1 year?
10.
Oh, okay. Tyler,
They
just
have
for
to-
clarity,
Yeah.
can you explain that?
Yeah, they...
Because that's one of the, I think that's the reason he asked the question.
Well, if somebody chooses to put in this line, they can enter into a separate agreement with the city that says, in essence, that if subsequently for a period of 10 years somebody else ties into that line, that homeowner can recoup a portion of the cost for putting it in to begin with.
That's in this contract?
No, it's a separate contract that the homeowner or developer would need to enter into with the city
Protect their
if they want to, right.
And we have that on the one that's out east right now, right?
We did that, I think DDS did it when they did an extension with Carl Baker. Somebody else did one, Brent Arnold did it. Larry Bullemeyer had done one and then he asked that it be terminated. So, you know, some people do, some don't.
Okay. Motion on the second one here, Craig?
Yes.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. So the Elizabeth Meyer Trust has also been approved, and that's all on that. Let's move on to the next thing. Carrie, your letter that was sent to IDEM about the revision of our agreed order, the final copy of that, I'd just like to make that a matter of record, Craig.
What's that, 3-year extension?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you make a matter of record.
Thank you. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's that. And... all right. While council is up here, I know we're still on, there's a couple of things I want to discuss. One is the wall at the corner of First and Monroe Street. Jeremy brought that up here a month and a half ago, and we decided at the time to table that until we revised our purchasing ordinance. Well, that's now done. So it would not require a sealed bid to quote that, unless it's going to be over $150,000. It could now be put out for sealed quotes. And if we want to do it as a brick or block wall or whatever. Do any of the department heads, any of the council members have any preference as to what we do with that wall?
My opinion has been that I like the aesthetic looks of the first Great Wall, Decatur, over here. I'd like something similar in aesthetics, red brick wall.
I know that in some of the discussions I've been in, we have talked about that wall, whatever it is, that it contain a large mural as a kind of a gateway when you come into town from the east. And I like that idea. I'm not sure if we need a red brick wall, a beautiful red brick wall, to paint.
But is Jeremy still on?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jeremy looked into whether or not we could do a
Block wall.
and the price of that ends up being about the exact same as a red brick wall because you got to seal it. My question would
You
be,
hearing this, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
my question would be, would the mural itself provide the sealant? And maybe that's, you know, you put it up, maybe you still got to paint it before the mural's ready.
You broke it.
You know,
Jeremy, Cam's question there is if we put up a block wall and we don't seal it, if we paint a mural there, would that serve as the sealant? Tony Murray is in the audience and he's shaking his head yes.
If it's the whole thing.
It would have to be an awfully
If
large
it's the whole
mural.
surface.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we'd want to leave it, any of it, as a...
but I'm just thinking, if we're looking at putting money into the cost of a mural, are we going to be ahead by using that as a sealant on the block wall? Right?
Mhm.
I guess my question, Cam, is that are you physically painting something on the wall, or are you going back to hanging something
Well-
on the wall like you guys talked about months prior?
So, great question, and I think, I mean, Mary, you can speak up on, because we had this art commission, we'll talk about this later, but we had an art commission meeting, and Greg Mendez, Sean Shadrack were here, and that, we had this exact conversation, and that is an option, but the recommendation from their perspective was that if you got to do something,
On
do
that
it
big
right.
of a wall, yeah.
Do it right.
They foresee putting some mounted murals in other smaller locations, like in alleys or maybe on sides of other buildings that aren't as big, but on one that's this big of a wall, they said to do it right and paint it on the wall, and then take care of it. Yeah.
And take care of it.
That comes from Greg Mendez and Sean.
Okay. Now let's back up about 60 days, if we can.
Yeah?
You guys had a conversation about the concern with Corey. Is that concern still there?
I don't believe so.
I'm not really.
Because the reason why I'm bringing this up tonight is I made the recommendation in the meeting that we set the March 1 deadline, whether he was going to move or move on his thought or rumor or whatever it was at the time. And after that, we were going to move on what we had planned.
Did he ever
So
come?
I guess what my thought was, you know, we just need a little direction because we're starting a lot of things and we need to finish what we've got started.
I would agree with that.
You know, whether we quote both, you could accept quotes for a block wall, see what the number looks like. You could accept, and at the same time, you could accept quotes for a brick wall, and just see exactly what the number is, and then choose which one you want to do.
I like that idea with that, yeah.
You know, a lot of the contractors say you're not looking at much difference, you know, other than your maintenance and your sealing and some of the other things. I just like to really see someone put their, you know, put the quote to what they're saying.
Cam, if we went with a block wall, do we want just a basic block, a construction block, or do we want one that has a textured finish? Like where am I thinking about here?
It's called just a cinder block wall or a split block wall. The split block is more the decorative, or the cinder is just basically what you see at your house if your house is set in a crawl space.
If we're going to pay someone to paint the whole thing, there's no sense in getting a split brick. I mean, if you're going to cover it all up, but to me it still seems like a lot of...
And then there's
What's the cost of doing the mural?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Well, that's how
And how long does it last? And who pays for the second mural?
Well, I guess here's what my 2 cents, and I don't have a vote in this, but if you do the quotes for both a cinder block and a brick, and there's not a lot of difference, if you put up the brick, it gives you time then to do the mural when you can afford to do it.
agreed. If there's not much difference, then I would say absolutely do the red brick. But I'm just thinking that
If
there's
it's significant, we should know that difference.
Right.
I guess the only answer he needs is quoted as brick and block.
Mary, you had a comment.
There is a company called Wall Dog that comes into town. Kewanee, Illinois was one of them. And they involve the community in painting murals. And these murals are beautiful. They focus on the history of that town. And I would recommend the brick just because a lot of times the muralists like to use the building itself as a frame for their pictures. And a big cinder block, I mean, that is one heck of a mural if you're going to cover that all in cinder block and expect it to be covered in paint. I mean, from my perspective, I think it would be much prettier with the bricks behind it and then a mural maybe on top of it to give you more leeway with, say you did want to mount something to the surface instead.
But while we're quoting, Jeremy's, sound to me, recommendation is quote both. What's it hurt?
So you think you can put out a request for getting it quoted both ways, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, the specs have been done for several months.
Okay.
I've just been kind of all guiding
Waiting on us, yeah.
which way you want to go.
Regardless of what we do with the wall once it's done, it needs done. It looks nasty like as is. Everybody agree with that?
Well, it's not the nastiness look, it's just, that soft brick is deteriorating
Yeah.
by the day.
Yeah.
You need something with it. You committed yourself when you tore the building down, so you have to do something with the wall.
Okay. Now, my next question is this even a Board of Works decision, or is this something I need to bring up at the council meeting for council to decide?
All we're doing is getting quotes.
The funds were approved through Kurt's, I always say it wrong every time.
Unsafe building fund.
You guys approved that money several months back, so.
I would say if all we're doing now is okaying for you to go get quotes, and then we'll see it here at the Board of Works meeting, and you got a motion to do that, Craig?
Yes.
Tony?
While you're getting quotes, check the cost difference between the 8-inch block and 4-inch block. There may be some, I don't know that it's significant, but if you're only buying half the block, it's the same thickness of the brick. So you may have some cost savings in a 4-inch block versus an 8-inch block wall.
The depth of the cinder block, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you hearing that, Jeremy?
No.
Tony Murray suggested getting a quote on a 4-inch block as compared to an 8-inch thick block, which would be the same thickness as a brick.
Okay.
You follow me? Yeah. We can talk about it, but yeah, good point, Tony. All right, you made the motion? Yeah. Second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's that. Next thing is actually the sidewalk, so I'd kind of like to talk about the sidewalks out front here, streetscaping, but I think that is more of a council thing to discuss.
How much time we got, half an hour?
Yeah, we got plenty of time. Is there something more that Mark and Alan, you guys are here for? Okay, I mean, I didn't, you're here though. Maybe there's something else we're supposed to be going over yet, so.
No, we're good.
Okay, all right. Other than talking about streetscaping, I don't have anything else. Tim, do you?
Hold on a second. If you want to go over this legislation, I can talk about that a little bit.
Yep, a little bit.
Did he call you back today?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, real quickly, HB 1347 is the bill that passed out of the House to the Senate regarding tying the hands of the city to require landlords to ultimately be responsible for bills. Totally undoes what we've been working on for the last year and a half, 2 years. So I wasn't real happy
And
when
our
I
state
saw that.
representative voted in favor of this.
So I had a number of email conversations with Jody Woods at AIM. In the meantime, the mayor got a hold of Matt Lehman and Dave Heine, who are both representatives, and we finally were able to talk to them this afternoon. What they shared is, first of all, AIM originally supported this legislation, so that was partly why they voted for the bill. But I think what happened
If
is...
names for it, then we figured it was good for the municipality,
Yeah,
so.
but what happened was, along the way, there was some language change which the author of the bill apparently didn't clearly represent to, at least according to Matt and Dave, them and others, and that's why it got out of the House in the manner it did. Once it did and it got over to the Senate, a lot of municipalities started complaining about this, and they started taking a little closer look at it and started listening to some of the complaints that had been made, and they now claim that this legislation will not get out of the Senate unless it's significantly altered to protect the flexibility of the city doing what we have set up to do. And if it does if it would get out of the Senate without being changed, the House would not concur to what came from the Senate. So they said, don't worry, we'll make sure that this gets addressed. So we'll keep an eye on it and trust that they will follow through on what they're telling us. But that's long and the short of it. So hopefully...
I am going to follow up with an email to Travis Holdman just the same, to make sure that he understands the city's perspective of. Dave Heine actually said, once he read my email and realized what they were doing to the municipalities, he says, I was embarrassed that I voted for this.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he did, you know.
And the other aspect, there were actually two changes. One was how they deal with utility bills, but the second was, under current law, on the sewer part of the utility bill, if that remains unpaid for 60 days, we can notify the owner of the property, and if they don't pay it within a short period of time, I think it's 20 days, then we can lien the property. We can literally file paperwork with the county, puts a lien on the property for the unpaid sewer bill, and that gets collected and paid as back taxes, okay? Well, there was also a change on that in this legislation on that part of the code. And what the change was is it required not only the owner to be notified, but also the first lien holder to be notified. That is problematic because the statute says that you have to give that notice within 20 days of the period when the lien ripens, which is 60 days delinquency, okay? So 20 days after that, you got to give notice to the owner, and you got to give notice to the first lien holder. Problem is, the only way the city will be able to find out if there's a lien, first lien holder is to do a lien search, which is going to cost the city $75 to $125 to get done. And then the bigger problem is that, let's say that there is a lien. Let's say I'm a homeowner and First Merchants Bank loaned me money and took a mortgage on my property. So they're the first lien holder. First Merchants Bank doesn't hold their mortgages. They sell them on the secondary market. So now, how do I know who to notify? Because that sale, that transfer of the lien to somebody else isn't of record. So there's no way for me to know where that mortgage went and who to notify. So what I told Matt was, to me, it was kind of an indirect way to kill the ability of the city to use that as a remedy. And so he said, well, I'm glad you brought that up. He says, apparently there's more to this bill than we realized. So, anyway, they said, they assured us that they would take care of it. So, we'll hold them to their word.
Let's discuss now the streetscaping a little bit. One of the reasons why I'd like to discuss a little bit in the Board of Works meeting is because I really don't want to bring this email that I got up in a city council meeting. I got an email from Kevin McCrory from Jones Petrie Rufinski. He says he wanted to know if there'd be a time sometime that I could meet with him to discuss the streetscape improvements for 2nd Street. He says, I know it's early in the process, but I'd like to discuss the project scope, financing opportunities, and timeline. We could discuss the project during lunch sometime, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, I didn't reply to Kevin. I felt as though there were a few people on council that wasn't overly thrilled with the last job he did for us, so before I replied to Kevin, I wanted to see if anyone's interested in using JPR on streetscaping. But actually, let's just kind of table that question, and let's just talk about the streetscaping itself. Today, the design committee for Decatur Main Street, of which Tony Murray is a part of, Brian Clemens is also here, president of Main Street. Melissa has some renderings in her computer that she can pop up here that showed a few different streetscape things. That's the first one. Tony, are you or Melissa going to rattle off what the design committee prefers as a recommendation?
I think I'll chime in and read it.
All right. The picture you see in front of you on the screen, this was in the Main Street Revitalization Plan as a plan for downtown streetscapes. This was also a part of our Stellar Communities application in 2015. This was the proposal for 2nd Street. You'll see trees, you'll see street lights, you can see some brick accents along the sidewalk, both going back to the building and then it's parallel with the street. You see trash cans, benches, all that good stuff. As Jeremy's explained, with the loft project, they are going to be doing some major work on the sidewalks, and when that gets filled back in, we'd like to go with the proposed new streetscape plan.
And we could do it just a half a block from Madison to the alley, or we could go from Madison Street all the way down to Monroe Street just on the east side of the street. I personally, since our utilities department's done some work out front and have tore up the sidewalks, and they put stone down, and a couple places they patched in with some concrete, but it doesn't look good. And I personally, if we can afford it, I would like to do the entire 1 block east side with something, whatever's decided. Go ahead, Melissa.
The suggestions from this morning from the design committee are pared back from the picture that you see now. The design committee is suggesting trees, not this many trees as you see in the picture. Their suggestion is 4 per half block on each side. So if you think about from City Hall to the plaza, 4 on our side and 4 on the other side is the suggestion. No brick strips to the building, so see the strips that go back to the building, those would be eliminated. What they would like to keep is the parallel brick strip that goes with the street, maybe 4 or 5 bricks wide to keep that band.
Not as wide as
Not as wide as
there.
this. The thought being it would be the same material and color to bring out what's the design of the Madison Street Plaza, so there would be some cohesiveness in design.
And which Madison Street brick paver color did they want to do?
They would like to do the gray.
Okay.
Recognizing that, you want to take that one, Tony? The gray selection for the paver? I think
There's a lot of, there was kind of a hodgepodge of brick color downtown, and the gray wasn't trying to match any of the red stuff that's there, but we all just kind of preferred the gray color to the red.
If it was multiple pavers wide, say 3 or 4 blocks wide, could it be a little of both, or would that be too busy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
As you see in the middle, I'm playing on my screen like you guys can see.
And the ladies crossing the
There
street.
is the original design has, and that's the intersection of 2nd and Monroe, with the idea of having a bump out. The committee would like to see something like that, and maybe this is a future project, between the alleyways that we turn into pedestrian walkways, maybe providing a little bit of a bump out so that when someone's walking across the street in those areas, that's a little bit of a safer crossing option. Again, with the suggested trees, the suggestion was to do grates around the trees instead of building them in kind of a box with a curb like you see on the plaza. The thought with the grates is the tree can, if it needs to, the roots need to grow, they make those grates so you can kind of break them out and break them away so that the trees can grow. It helps with drainage.
No, that's an artist's
All that's good.
rendering. Show us our Madison Street Plaza and what it looked like when we extended it, if you have that one there.
Oh, okay. Is this what you mean?
Yeah, and zoom in on what the area would be where you're talking about.
Technology is hard. All right. Quit. Is that what you want to
There we go, yeah.
So again,
That was like what was drawn up when we did the Madison Street Plaza. And that's 1/2 block. And that 1/2 block has 5 trees, so it would only have 2 instead of 5 with their suggestion. And it's still has the bricks out along the street. And that particular rendering does have one build out where number 8 is. What is that? Is that where a sculpture would go or what?
that's a bump out, and what we originally talked about, what the committee talked about, was kind of these special moments that would just be in a couple places downtown. A sculpture could go here, a seating area could go here, but something a little bit special could go in a place like that.
Or is that also what you were kind of referring to, like when you get down to the alley itself?
Yep, a bump out. In this example, it takes away a parking space.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like doing that on
Yep.
the parking
It would be
area.
a safer option at the alleys if the alleys are indeed closed and they are permanently used
Pedestrian.
as pedestrian walkways.
Okay, now let's see the 3 pictures I took last night, 2 or 3 pictures, whatever it was. Went to Rack and Helen's and ate last night, and those were all renderings. These are reality. There's a tree grate. They're blocks, or what does it look like, about 6 bricks wide?
And Tony, can you see the picture? I think their bricks look a little bit smaller than our pavers on the
True.
plaza.
Yeah.
Ours
so
are a little bit larger and it's still that shape, but it's a larger item.
How long's that been there?
What's that?
That place?
New Haven?
Yeah.
No. I went, John Schultz and Eileen Eichhorn and I went up and visited Terry McDonald when they did this. It was when I was still working at Do It Best. I'm gonna guess 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a downtown view. They got very similar streetlights to what we want. And there you see again, and then even the pavers themselves can kind of have some...
Is there more width between the building? Is there more sidewalk in New Haven?
It depends on the...
On this one, it looks like.
Yeah, well, that's right in front of look on down the street down there, and it's not. And on the other side of the street where Rack and Helen's is, the sidewalk's very narrow. Yeah, very narrow. I mean, it's only maybe...
Basically, the trees would take the place of the pots that we have now, in theory.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have room for both.
What's the opinion on the pots, Tony? No pots. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to preview this in this meeting. I think this is not a decision of Board of Works. I think this is a decision of City Council. And I think we need to be making a decision.
And I think we also need some cost estimates on...
Yeah, that's all we're doing.
To give Jeremy some leeway to say...
Right, Jeremy? I forgot you were there. Are you awake?
Yeah, my whole comment on this is if you look 24 months from where you're at right now, you're going to be getting ready to start the roundabout project. So you either need to be working that direction or waiting and working back from that direction. So we don't have a whole lot of space in between. Preferably, I would rather start working that direction since we're already doing the utility work. We're already patching the sidewalks and stuff uptown, or they need to be patched. I think this is a pretty doable project. Everyone just needs to decide what they can live with instead of what they, what their total dream is. Come up with a plan and see what we can afford.
Yep.
Now, I really don't think you're looking at big dollars here. But obviously, as fancy as you get, the more money it's going to be.
Hey, Jeremy?
Which takes me back to Kevin McCrory's email, okay? If Jeremy and Don and I have talked, and if all we're doing basically is replacing sidewalks out here, and there's one area that's going to be pavers, and they know how wide that paver area is, yeah, you got to notch it down like they did at the plaza down here, and you still have to pour concrete there. You got to drill holes for drainage, and then in that lower area, it's not rocket science. I think that Jeremy seems to think we can hire the concrete to be done locally, and then hire a landscape architect, whether it's Harlow, the ones that did the plaza, or someone else to come in and put the pavers down. So, do we even want to... Excuse me?
I think you've also got a little bit lesser cost in labor because these are just straight runs.
Yep.
You're not doing all the cuts.
No fancy cuts.
It's all cutting everything with brick.
Yep.
So you will have some cost savings there.
So back to my question, do I reply to Kevin and say, we're just going to go with this alone? That's kind of my opinion.
Is this a Board of Works question?
I really don't think that we need him. We may need somebody for just little pieces here or there, but, that's your guys' decision. If you want to pay to have somebody engineer all this and
pay all the
about
extras.
it, that's your prerogative. I just don't feel that it's 100% needed.
My opinion, Ken, you got the lights picked out, you got the benches picked out, you got the garbage cans picked out.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about concrete and asphalt. Hey, how far have you gotten on the infrastructure from Monroe? Is it past Madison Street now? How far can we go, Jeremy?
It's 20 feet south of Madison. I would say stop at Madison and give us a little time to get working south of there.
Okay, now what about the west side of the road? Do we have pipe and stuff going underneath that we need to repair prior to doing this project?
Nope. There's a couple things that we want to look at sewer-wise when the sewer camera comes in next week. Just some little settlement areas that we're seeing in the pavement that we just want to verify if it's an old tap or if it's a settling issues. Other than that, I think we're pretty good in downtown.
Okay.
What about the infrastructure from Monroe to Jackson Street?
That's going to need a little work. I would suggest that we replace the water main on that stretch. The sewer and everything's in good shape through there, the storm sewer. But once we jump to the other side of Monroe and Wiley, I really think we need to be replacing that water main.
Okay, because we need to keep that in focus too.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of these areas in focus. It's just all in the revenue that Kevin can let up on out of the operating fund to be able to do some of this stuff.
Right, but I don't want to keep that section as the stepchild like we always have.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I really do.
Okay. We'll talk about this some more at the council meeting. I don't want to spend as much time on it, but we'll bring it back up at the council meeting. And then, also in the little bit of time we have left here, I passed out, you can all kind of review these, a spreadsheet that would show Hannah Nutman. And we're going to talk about Hannah Nutman at the council meeting and whether or not to move forward. If we move forward, Jeremy would very soon thereafter put together advertisements to go out for that first color of work, the earthwork and utilities, which is an approximate $477,000. And just about the time, about another month later, we would probably put out to bid all the area in blue, which would include the irrigation, and then some big ticket items, the concession stands, concrete around the ball fields, and the dugouts. Jeremy did contact the one-stop shopping place, which was the outfit that was going to do the backstops and the netting and fencing. No, not the fencing. The backstops.
Yeah.
It was fencing also?
Yeah.
Okay. But the one-stop shopping outfit, and their price included dugouts. And Jeremy, I know you asked him today if he gave us a package price, and Jeremy asked him today, he said, what if we pull some things out of there, for example, like what was it you told him it was the...
Get some little things like the dugouts and the foul poles and stuff like that, what that would affect that exclusive price that he gave us. And he said for the most part it would not affect it much, but if we started getting into areas that was kind of his area, with other contractors, there could be a risk of...
Yeah, what he said, I'll read what he said here. He says, I would just subtract that out on something of that nature. And what you had asked about was if we subtracted out like the foul poles, okay, something small. He goes, but like on the walls or the dugouts, for example, if we didn't get those, the price could go up because of the material.
Correct.
So,
depending on how that work was done, comparable to what his requirements are to meet all his warranty and his liability, all that. Mm-hmm. His materials and his workmanship. If you get one contractor doing it one way, his belief is one way, this company saying it's got to be done another way due to the liability, the warranty and stuff, that's where you can come in a little bit of an issue with some of that. You could get a little higher cost on some of that. Some of you might not.
The prices that we have on this, I hope, are cushioned enough, okay? Those dugouts at $174,000. There's 12 dugouts. That's $14,500 per dugout, okay? And the dugout that they showed us is nothing, okay?
It's probably a cage dugout, isn't it?
No, it has walls up about this high, all the way around. So Mom or Dad can come up to Junior's dugout and talk to him from right to the back because there's only a wall up so high. I don't really like the dugouts that this place is talking to us about. I talked to Mark Cook, who helped build the dugouts at the girls' softball field, and he said that basically all they did was the concrete work and some of the framing or whatever, but he said John Niemeyer actually laid up the block on those dugouts. And I called John Niemeyer today and talked to him. He says, yeah, I did the ones here. He says, I did some in Hoagland. He goes, I've done several of these before. So he's going to stop and see us next week, and hopefully it's something we could do local rather than using this outfit if it doesn't run our price away. But hopefully we can do a dugout for less than $14,500 each. So, anyhow, we'll discuss more of this at the council meeting as well. But what I wanted to point out was that while this is phase one, it's kind of broke into 4 phases itself as for when to put it out to bid and when the actual construction would take place on these things. And then the next page would be the true phase 2 and phase 3, if we so choose to do those. I think definitely asphalting would be something we would want to do, and the trails. The lights, that's yet to be seen, actually. You know, we had originally talked about reutilizing the lights that are out there. In this proposal here, all we're doing is lighting a couple of fields, not all of them, using the existing poles that are out there. If we want to market that as a place for out-of-town entities to come hold tournaments, you know, and try to promote the economic well-being of the US 27 corridor, then we would need to light up everything. And as you can see on page 2, lights, LED lights are $864,000. One steel, nice galvanized steel poles. So that's something we'd have to ponder. Do we want to, you know, down the road? I think we don't have to decide that now. It can be decided way down the road. But for now, I don't think we need to light the entire park. It's something that could be done later. If we so say, hey, we find out, hey, people really like our park. We know that it can be used from April through October for weekend tournaments, bring in a lot of out-of-towners. Well, then maybe we want to do the lights at a later date. So,
Phase 2, is that where we can utilize perhaps a Department of Natural Resources?
actually, she left. Yes. Yeah.
Did you want?
Melissa.
I guess while Jeremy's on the phone, is this all ready to go out for bid, every phase, Jeremy, or just...
Not everything gets bid. Some of it's just quotes.
Well, I mean...
The dirt work and the utility work would be ready for our final review by this Friday. That's just a couple-day review, and then basically we just give it back to the designer, and he gets the bid documents ready. So in all reality, you could have this out for bid in probably 2 to 3 weeks.
The dirt work.
If that's your desire.
The dirt work,
The
correct?
dirt work or all of it?
The dirt work and the utilities, the earth work.
Yeah. Okay.
The dugout,
You go down on the list.
like the
I don't know,
dugout...
Are they looking at the same list that I'm looking at
Yeah.
on the breakdown?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 and 2 would be bid together. Irrigation is just a quote process. Gravel, stone lot, grass seeding, just basically a quote process. You get down to concession, that's when you get back into the bid process. The concrete, I got a pretty good lead on that. That may not be a bid process. The dugouts, you would be back to a bid process, and the backstops and such, all the way through your purple areas. And then once you get to the scoreboards and stuff, depending on how we would do that from the scoreboard to the miscellaneous, you know, would just be general purposes, or general purchases, sorry.
And even some of the things that are in that over $150,000 range, we might be able to break them out so that they are.
Right, I guess I was asking if the dugouts have been designed to go out for bid in concession stands.
The concession stand has been,
It
the
has-
dugouts have not been. So,
This is all.
What we did, Tyler, is we have a print, or an actual drawing, a state-approved drawing from the city of Kendallville. When they did their concession stands, it's a really nice, really practical concession. That's what we've been kind of modeling off of. It seems like it's coming within
it'll fit.
reason of the cost. It fits in our footprint. You know, that's what we're kind of leaning towards as long as we can afford it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Jeremy, I think I'm done with you.
And that would be more of a little bit later on this year bid process on the concession. Hoping that they can build it in the winter months when things aren't quite so busy for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, the key thing is to get the earthwork done, get the utilities and the irrigation in so that we can plant grass. If we don't get grass planted by late September, early October, you're not going to play ball there next year. So you got to get it in, get it watered before grass goes dormant. So.
And I know their irrigation's $45,000, but we're putting this kind of money into this complex. You know, we're going to need all the help other than Mother Nature with making sure that the grass stays growing and things keep looking nice out there.
Well, what did you ask that I hollered back at
They'll be able
Melissa?
to play on it by May of 2020.
What was I supposed to ask Melissa?
I think you answered it.
Grants on the phase 2.
Yeah, grants on this.
The DNR.
The DNR grant. Would it only be phase 2?
The timeline is that the DNR grants would be due in June of this year. And if we were awarded, the soonest we would be able to start construction, I believe, would be May of next year. Jeremy, do you concur with that?
You hear
It's a
that?
little grayer there, Melissa. You know, I'm trying to figure Bob out on the whole, you can't be started on the project, you know, whether it's a project in whole, or whether it's a project on the building, or whether it's a project on the trail. That's what I'm still trying to figure out with Bob. Because he stipulated in that meeting that we can't be started on whether it's that portion of the project or whether it's the project in general.
So whatever we would apply to DNR for would have to be a very separate project. So if we started earthwork now, we couldn't apply for construction of the entire field because work had already started. So in a truly a phase 2 kind of thing, we would be looking at a trail, a pavilion, those kind of things that would be very separate projects from the actual construction of the ball field.
Yeah, and the guy from DNR, Bob, when we met with him, he said literally anything, even those concession areas would be something that you could apply, as long as it was all meeting all the ADA requirements and all that. So, okay. Jeremy, I think that's all we got. You got anything else for us?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you need me for council, or are you going back, or what you doing?
I don't think so. If you want to go ahead and head to the bar, go ahead.
Wait, we hadn't ate supper yet tonight. Donnie's over here whittling away at supper.
And you hear, oh, I bet he is.
All right.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board of Works is adjourned.